Hi everyone, Colleen Patrick-Goudreau here. Gimpy, you can call me. I'm hobbling around my house and getting lots of work done actually. So what's really nice about the work I do is that I can be completely immobile and still get lots of work done. I just don't like being immobile. So anyway, hi everyone, Colleen Patrick-Goudreau here. Vegan author and animal advocate, and I have not seen you live in a long time. And I wanted to tell you about my new podcast episode that I just released, and I wanted to take your questions because I haven't taken your questions in a long time. So I am here for you. Number one, make sure that you join us for the Compassion in Action Conference. What are you waiting for? I don't understand. It's like the best conference on the planet, and it's coming up in August in Oakland. Number two, there are still slots available. I just have to keep saying this to you for our Rwanda 2 trip in July of 2019. So if you want to come to Rwanda with me and 20 other fabulous like-minded people and see the mountain gorillas and see the chimpanzees and see the golden monkeys and see just the amazingness that is Rwanda, you can join us. So just go to cpgtrips.com. Number three is my new podcast episode just came out. It's called Food Waste Part 1, How Animal Products Hinder Zero Waste Goals. So I want you to listen and I want to take your questions. So hello everyone. I want to know who you are, where you are, why you're here, what your questions are. That's what I want to know. Carolyn said, how did you end up liking the makeup you got in the wooden cases? You mean this makeup? The makeup I'm wearing right now. I love it to pieces, to bits and pieces, to itsy bitsy bits and pieces. I love it. It's called Elate, and I'm actually going to be doing more. There's so much to talk about. I mean, are you guys around for the long haul? Because I've got so many podcast episodes and books coming out and that I'm working on. So Elate is the makeup, the cosmetics company that is a vegan, zero waste company. Zero waste in the sense that I should say plastic free, in the sense that all of the cases are all bamboo. And the makeup itself is amazing. I love it. This is what I'm wearing it right now. So I love it to pieces. Love it. Love it. Love it. So who do we have here? Hi, Kara. Hi, Douglas. Carolyn, thanks for your question. Cheryl, I have my leg elevated right now. For those of you who know, I've been dealing with some knee pain. It's elevated and it's a little painful right now. Hello, Melody from TH. You're not going to make me think that hard, are you? Where's TH? What are you talking about? Where are you? Cheryl says, zero waste interest. Tell me more. Tell me more. Mark says, Mark from Chicago, you're my vegan mentor. What? I'm a mentor. That's awesome. Thank you. Oh, Tennessee. Okay, Melody, got it. Jillian says, hi, I'm Jillian from New York City. Hello, Jillian. Jamie from Dublin, California. Hi, Jamie. Grace. Hi, Grace. Good to see you. That's awesome. And I'm working on my knee. I'm working on my knee, Mark. So my husband and I have a joke that I can't travel alone without him anymore. We had this joke before I left for New Jersey because every time I go somewhere on my own, something bad happens. Like every time. Hold on. Let me close this a little bit. Let me close this a little bit. Okay. So every time I travel without David, something like really bad happens. Like seriously, like bad. I could tell you all the details, but I won't bore you. But this time I traveled without him and, I like completely messed up my knee. So I'm not allowed to travel without him anymore. Melody says, my house, 2 men, I'm sick of cooking twice idea. You've got to give me way more than that, Melody. I know you're on your phone and typing, but it's really hard for me to answer that question. I'm not sure what you're saying. Shazana says, hello from Washington. Mark says, I want to get more involved with sustainability. Awesome. Cheryl's interested in veganic soil. Okay, so number one, before I go on and before you ask me more questions, I want to make sure that you guys all subscribe to Food for Thought podcast and listen to the newest episode. So, you know, I've been on the zero waste quest. Hello from Germany, Tina, you world traveler, you. So, you know, I've been on the zero waste quest that has been incredibly eye-opening, incredibly exciting, invigorating, exhilarating, inspiring, and I'm so glad to see so many of you inspired by this as well. And of course, I follow a lot of zero waste folks as well, and we will be talking about zero waste at the Compassion in Action Conference come August. But one of the things that I'm doing in the episodes that I'm producing through Food for Thought is this zero waste is not about me just showing you how to make peanut butter from scratch. If that's all it were, it would be really pretty surface. And if that's what other people are doing and that's what they're doing, and they enjoy that, that's great. But when we're talking about zero waste, it has to be about much bigger systems. And in the first episode called Zero Waste, It Ain't About Recycling, that's what I talk about, is kind of the principles of zero waste, the origins of the phrase zero waste, the term zero waste, which originated here in Oakland, California, and, really what it means to be zero waste. And that zero waste is not about increasing your recycling. I think for a long time, a lot of us over-relied, including me, on recycling, thinking, well, I'm sure, I'll reduce what I'm buying. But really, if I get something that has some kind of recycling symbol on the bottom of it, the packaging, then I'm good. I'm fine. It's so much more than about recycling. In fact, recycling should really be one of the last things that we consider when we consider anything that we purchase. So in the new episode I just did, because, people are really interested in compost, they really want to learn more about how to reduce their food waste. And we will talk about that, because one of the things I said in the first podcast episode, and I've said in blog posts, is that we should not have any food waste at all in our kitchens. Garbage should not smell, because there shouldn't be anything that's rotting in our garbage. We should be making sure that we're either reducing, eliminating, or composting any food waste. So reducing food waste means, obviously just buying less, eating less, not buying and making more than we need, and that we don't eat the leftovers. There's so many things to talk about related to that. But also it's about composting whatever food waste we do have. But before we even get to that, before we even get to consumer food waste, we have to talk about these bigger systems of food waste and food loss. And so that's what I do in today's podcast episode, the one that's called Food Waste Part 1. Because part 2, we're going to talk about consumer food waste and how we can reduce food waste in our own homes. Part 1 is about food loss that occurs at the harvesting and processing and production side of food production. And one of the things that is really important to know is that when you look at food waste, because I can't just say, my potato, I just made mashed potatoes and my mashed potatoes are zero waste because I ate the potatoes and I composted the peelings. You have to look back at all of the systems that took place before that potato even came to my house, before it came into my possession. Now, that's not to say that it's not really important to understand what we can do as consumers when it gets into our possession, but we have to at least understand the systems that happened before then. So when we look at the scientific data, the data that researchers spend hours and hours and hours gleaning and going through and extrapolating, we see, and I cite all of the studies that confirm this, that where there's the highest amount of food loss and food waste in the food system is in livestock production. And so I talk about that in this episode, so that we understand that when we talk about wanting to aspire to be zero waste, we really have to aspire to be zero waste vegan. There is no way to be, as consistently zero waste as possible and still consume meat, dairy, and eggs. So, a lot of zero wasters, not all, and there are so many amazing zero wasters. Even if they're not vegan, they're amazing. I think they're fantastic people. And there's a lot of zero waste vegan influencers out there. But there are those zero wasters who are I go to the butcher and I get my meat in a container that I take home with me and I'm zero waste. That's not zero waste. I'm not zero waste because there's so many factors that go into the food I consume and buy. But we still at least have to be honest about if we're going to reduce our footprint on this planet, the biggest footprint, ecologically speaking, is coming from the livestock sector. And that means meat, dairy, and eggs. It doesn't just mean beef. So that's what I encourage you to listen to today. I'd love to hear your perspective. I'd love to get your questions on that. But that is the podcast episode that just went live today. Like just magically just went live today. Hi, Richard. You have some followers in Poland. I love it, Richard. Well, welcome from Poland. Are you in Poland now? That is so fantastic. Where in Poland? Amy Katz says, once a week I make fridge curry using all my aging produce and no more food waste for us. I love it. I love it, Amy. That's fantastic. Cheryl says zero waste is very hard. Well, like anything, it is a habit, and it is about changing your habits and being mindful about what we bring into our lives, what we consume, and then what we do with the things that we do consume. Because once something gets into our possession, we are fully responsible for it, and we have to consider what the end life is of that product. And so I've got so much to talk about. Related to what we can do in our own lives. But before I do that, like I said, I want to really establish the systems that are bigger than us. So part 2 of food waste is going to be about how we can reduce food waste in our own homes, just like Amy said, in terms of making sure we're consuming food. Sorry, my leg is in so much pain. But also in terms of composting. So I've got lots to talk about in terms of composting, and I'm so excited to share that with you. Melody said, sorry, I cook meat for men. How do I switch? Then I guess asking. Melody, it's very difficult. So you're saying you cook meat for men. How do you switch? I'm sorry. I want to understand that better, but it's a little difficult still. And then hold on, I'll get back to that because I will answer your question. I just want to make sure I'm answering it, that I'm answering the right question. Kara says, what do you think about field animals getting chopped up in harvesters? Well, nothing's perfect in this world, and that's why I'm still aspiring to be zero waste, even though I'm never going to be 100%. I aspire to be vegan, even though being vegan means being imperfect. So that doesn't mean we don't aspire to the things that still are really the best we have. It just means that we have to know that within that system, there are imperfections. And not great. That's not my fault for being vegan, that there's inefficiencies and irresponsibilities within these systems. It means that we can do better, systemically, but also individually. I'm doing the best I can to not contribute to harm. And that's really all we can ask of anybody. So don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something, anything. There's no reason we shouldn't do something because we can't do everything. There's no reason we shouldn't aspire to be better because we're never going to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of the good. So do I like that animals are chopped up in harvesters? No. What do I think about it? I think that sucks. But okay, until I'm the one who's controlling exactly how every plant food is harvested in this world, I'm just doing the best I can to not contribute to harm in my own life. And there's a lot we can do. Nina says, what did you do with your Aveda shampoo bottles? Refill at the salon, ? So Nina, I have a little box in a drawer in my guest room that is filled with containers that I'm not quite sure what to do with yet. The Aveda bottles, there's a soft Aveda bottle and a harder, more rigid Aveda bottle, both of which are recyclable. And like I've said, there's still going to be things I'm going to recycle because I have them still, and I had them before I started this journey. However, so I can recycle them, and I can also send certain products to a company called TerraCycle. Have you heard of TerraCycle? So TerraCycle is a company that is trying to make sure that the products that actually do exist in this world, the containers, the packaging that do exist in this world, are recycled in the most efficient, definitive way possible, that they're really getting recycled. So Tom's of Maine is a company that is partnered with TerraCycle. So I'm saving my toothpaste, my Tom's of Maine toothpaste, because I still have some of those left over, and the Tom's of Maine deodorant that I have. And I'm saving all of that packaging so that I can send one box back to TerraCycle. And you can apply for Tom's of Maine. You can apply for different companies that partner with TerraCycle. You can also just pay to have a box sent, and they take care of it. it might sound silly to pay for recycling of things that your municipal recycling center will take care of, but can you be certain that they're going to recycle them? This way, there's like a certainty that they're going to get recycled. So that's what I've done. That's what I'm doing. Now, I still have a little bit left of this particular conditioner. In the mail today, in zero waste packaging, in just cardboard and paper, which I'm going to put in our compost, I just got some new shampoo and conditioner by a company. I'm not going to say anything about it yet because I want to actually have a full reveal that has refillable shampoo and conditioner. Now, again, it's not perfect because, yeah, it means I have to send back these stainless steel containers to get it refilled. And so there's the shipping aspect. However, actually, are they in California? They might be. So for me, it's a little better. But the idea is that it's stainless steel and it's refillable. And that's pretty awesome because they're also vegan and cruelty free. And that's something that matters to me first and foremost. I don't want to contribute to animal cruelty and animal testing. So there are some shampoos and conditioners that I've seen in places like Rainbow Grocery, which is a supermarket here in San Francisco that has a huge section of refillables and bulk items. And they do have shampoo and conditioner. However, one of the ones that I noticed was the conditioner is not cruelty free and I'm not going to get it. So anyway, very excited. I will tell you more about it. So yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Our house is slowly becoming, filled with just glass and, well, when I say filled, I don't mean I'm taking in more things, but like that we're slowly getting rid of, plastic. It was so cute. David yesterday went shopping because I'm gimpy and I can't really leave the house, especially since we're 100 feet up from the street and it's very difficult with my leg. But David went shopping yesterday. And so the food mill is a grocery store. Well, it's a grocery store. It's mostly a health food store with a huge bulk section nearby. And so he was going shopping and we have a chalkboard in our kitchen that has all of the items. As soon as I'm starting to get low on something, it goes on the chalkboard. So it was so cute. It was just so absolutely adorable because David was going shopping and he texted me. He was upstairs. I was downstairs and he says, I'm going to go shopping. Is this everything on the list or do you want to add anything? And he had added next to some of the items in parentheses, he added bring container, bring glass container, bring bottle. So David is already, I mean, David doesn't love doing things that make him stand out in a crowd. He doesn't like doing things that require him to kind of ask questions when he goes somewhere. So for him to take the containers with him to the food mill, to the bulk area, is just adorable. So I had to get unsweetened cocoa powder. I had to get, he got just a whole jar of turmeric because I'm using turmeric for my knee. It's because it's an anti-inflammatory and it's very powerful and you should be taking it whether you have inflammation that's obvious or not. And just some other things. And it was really cute because he was at the food mill yesterday and when he texted me and he said, you said brown sugar, is sucanat okay? And I said, no, I don't want sucanat. I want brown sugar. And he said, well, I don't think they have, brown sugar. And I'm like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Of course they have brown sugar. Like, no doubt they have brown sugar. I said, you're going to have to ask someone. And before I even said that, he's like, oh, figured it out. Got it. Whatever. So he came home with all these bottles and glass containers and, olive oil. The food mill sells olive oil in bulk. So it's been really, really, really wonderful. And I'm going to tell you, when I was gone, David did break some of the zero waste rules in our house because he got ice cream for me because he knew that I was injured and he wanted to get me ice cream. I said, David, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, but I ate it. I ate it anyway. Yeah. It's delicious. So Carolyn says, are y'all using bamboo toothbrushes now? Yes. So the reason I haven't really talked about the bathroom things is because I wanted to do like a blog post about it and I wanted to have other things in place. I'm waiting for one more aspect of my zero waste bathroom before I talk about it. But I can answer your question, Carolyn. So yes, I have bamboo toothbrushes. And in fact, the one that I have a set, and it's really cool because it has the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 on each one. Well, it has 1 on one, 2 on another, 3 on another, 4 on another. And so I love it because it's easy to keep track of. Certainly if you have a person family. David has an electric toothbrush he's been using for years and he loves it, and that's fine. Like, he can keep using that. The idea is that we're not, he's not creating waste. We have to figure out what to do with the heads when he switches those. But as far as the ones that I'm using, the bamboo ones that I'm using, I will be able to put them in our home composting bin, or we can bury them, or we can put them in the city's compost bin. And it's the end of March, and I will be switching to my new toothbrush number 2. So yes, I'm using the bamboo toothbrushes, and I love them. I love them. So my bathroom is just looking so much cleaner. It's looking so much neater. I got rid of all this plastic. It's so ugly. It's just so ugly. Emma says, cute. Is he an introvert? Me too. Yes, he is definitely an introvert. I mean, and I'm very much a believer in a spectrum of introversion and extroversion. And it doesn't necessarily just mean you don't want to talk to people. It means that you expend more energy talking to people, and that it takes you longer to recover when you talk to people. So I'm on the introversion scale as well. I mean, don't forget, I work from home. I don't really leave my house. I love being alone. I love working alone, but I also love people and I love talking to them. But after a while, I also get very, like, I'm done, but I recover much faster than David does. So yeah, David just, if he can avoid talking to people, he will, even though the irony is that David manages people in San Francisco. The irony is that I'm home alone all the time, and I love people, and David manages people, and he would rather just be home alone all day. So it's kind of ironic. Carolyn said, also, are you going to do a podcast on how someone living in an apartment can compost? Yes, Carolyn. Do you think I'd not consider you, Carolyn? Of course I am. I remember your story of how cockroaches were in your compost under the sink, and I never want that happen to me. Yes, but don't you remember the moral of that story? I actually came to see the beauty of cockroaches. That was a really beautiful gift, to be honest, from that. Now, I will clarify what you were saying, Carolyn. It wasn't an apartment. It was a house that we were in, and we just, we put the compost under the sink. So the lesson isn't live in an apartment versus a house, or live in a house versus an apartment, or compost in a house versus an apartment. The lesson was, don't put your compost under the sink. It's just too easy for little critters to come up from the ground. It's too easy to forget about it. It's too easy for it to sit there longer than it should. We have a compost, a cute little container, a little pail, little stainless steel pail. You can get one of these pails from eBay, from Craigslist. You can just create your own. It could be a bowl, and we keep it on top of our counter. And it fills up very quickly, even though I'm trying to get it to fill up less quickly because I'm making more stock than I was before. So I composted a lot before, but I'm doing things differently even in composting. So you're going to hear a lot in that episode about how composting should also be kind of the last resort, and we should be using everything we can from the vegetables that we're, again, taking responsibility for in our own home and in our own lives. So there's a lot to talk about with compost, and absolutely I'm going to be considering the people who live in apartments, people who don't have yards, people who don't have gardens. I've got so much to say, and you're just going to have to wait. But it's coming, and like I said, the part 1 of food waste just came out today, and I will be working on part 2 ASAP. It's going to be a busy year. I'm in negotiations with a publisher right now for my new book, In Defense of Compassion, and that book will be due in December. So that means that I have to be focusing on writing this book between now and December. I also have the Compassion in Action Conference, which takes up a lot. And if y'all don't sign up, I'm just not going to do the conference. There's a possibility that I decide to not do this conference. I need to know. If you're going to sign up for this conference, you kind of need to sign up now. If you don't want to sign up for the conference, okay, but I don't know if I'm going to do it if we don't get some signups soon. So that's going to help me determine whether or not to do it. And then of course I have another one of our CPG trips in December. But by then I'm using that as my deadline. But then I also have the podcast, and I have all of this work I'm doing around the zero waste podcast, and I've got other things as well. Obviously just running my life and organization. So I do plan on keeping up with the podcast. Of course I do. And I've got a lot. It's going to be a busy year. Tracy said, I just made almond milk for the first time. Have a bowl of pulp to use now. I love it, Tracy. That is so fantastic. I actually just made some more soybeans. I cannot tell you how inexpensive it is to make soy milk. Again, love almond milk. It doesn't mean I'm not going to ever make almond milk again, but it has been so fantastic to make soy milk. It just takes so many fewer soybeans than it takes almonds to make the milk. And soybeans are so much less expensive, and it's just so easy. You can make soy milk without soaking the soybeans, but you get a higher volume if you do. And then yesterday, I don't know if you saw my video, but I made tofu. Of course, Grace. And of course, we've got the CPG trip in April. That's in 10 days. That's already like way on my mind because, of course, dealing with my knee injury now, I'm thinking, okay, well, looks like I'm probably going to go to Vietnam with some crutches. Hopefully, there's a chance within 10 days the inflammation will be way down and I won't have to bring crutches. But the worst case scenario is this doesn't get better and the pain is too great and I don't know that I can travel. That's the worst case scenario, but we're not going there. The other worst case scenario is I have to go to Vietnam with some crutches and I'm just a lot slower and Seb has to carry me around. So that's not so bad. That's not so bad. For the best case scenario is that it starts to feel better soon. I'm taking huge amounts of turmeric and I am taking a lot of ibuprofen. I need to knock this out of my knee. It's terrible. It's painful. And I'm just grateful I can keep doing my work and not be hindered at all. So where are my kitties? Okay. I'm just checking on my cats. So that's it. I mean, there's a lot going on. So do you guys have any more questions? I might go over to Instagram and see some of my friends over there. The turmeric will help, says Grace. Have you made golden paste? I have not made golden paste. Tell me more. Jamie says, I hear mushroom tea is good for inflammation as well. Yeah, I'm doing everything that's good for inflammation. It's true. Mushrooms are also good for inflammation. Yep. I am doing everything I can for the inflammation. Inflammatione. That's not even a language. Sorry about that. So I'm doing as much as I can to get better and taking it easy. I do have to leave the house tomorrow night. I have Hannah McNeely, which I'm really excited about. She and her podcast partner are coming up to interview me for their podcast tomorrow. And then Sunday, I have a PhD candidate who is writing about veganism for her dissertation. She's coming over on Sunday to interview me. And then Sunday afternoon, I'm heading to Lodi. So I'll be leaving the house again on Sunday for a fundraiser at a winery for an animal sanctuary. So it's going to be a busy weekend, but I'm going to take it easy as much as possible. It breaks my heart that I can't hike, that I can't walk, that I normally walk down to the farmer's market on Saturdays. I run, I hike every day. It is incredibly difficult for me, but I'm trying to just glean lessons and gifts from this because that's all we get. It's lessons and gifts. So many gifts, many lessons in this for sure. Carolyn says, that reminds me of medicine bottles. Any advice for that? I have vitamin D and B12. Vitamin bottles are going to be tricky. I've got a bunch left over, so I haven't really tackled it. I do think that the B12 will be super easy because you can get the B12 in glass, for sure. In terms of like bulk, yeah, I don't think that's going to be really easy to do. But at least in terms of getting B12, for instance, the liquid or even omega-3s, you can get that in a glass bottle. And at least glass is 100% recyclable. It's just ridiculous that we should be able to get something like that in bulk. Maybe someday. As far as vitamin D as well, there are vitamins that come in glass bottles. I just haven't explored the best ones or the refillable bottles or if there's refillable vitamins in any of these places. I mean, I'm thinking of a place like the Food Mill, and I haven't really delved that deeply, but they have so many herbs and spices in bulk that, I don't know, there might be something there that I just haven't noticed yet. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But that's the idea. The idea is to ask the questions. The idea is to at least consider the ways in which we can reduce the amount of single-use items, especially plastic, that we only use once and then throw away. We need to get away from that mentality. We need to get away from that way of thinking and that behavior. And when we do, we will either find the solutions we're looking for or we'll help create them. I mean, that's an idea as well. How do you think so many of these people and entrepreneurs started these companies? They wanted to solve a problem they saw, that needed solving. So, again, everyone, thank you so much. I'm sorry to you and all of the YouTubers. I know I should have, before I started, turned my video around. I promise this will be the last vertical video I do. I'll make sure they're all horizontal in the future. So again, if you're interested at all, like remotely interested in the Compassion in Action Conference, please sign up as soon as possible to give me a sense of whether you really think this is a valuable conference. I do. Tina does. Tina's already registered. But if we don't get enough signups soon, I'm going to have to kind of create a quota by a certain date. Then we're going to have to cancel it. And just not do it, because I can't just put so much energy into something that you're not interested in. But my inclination is that you're interested in it. And again, if you're interested in Rwanda, go to cpgtrips.com, because there's still slots available for Rwanda 2, which is in July of 2019. So you have plenty of time to save for it and plenty of time to get excited about it. And go listen to the new Food for Thought podcast episode, Food Waste, Part 1, How Animal Products Hinder Zero Waste Goals. So thanks everybody for being here, for asking your questions, for being awesome, for being open, and for the animals. This is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Thanks for watching.